Well, well, well. Don't you have the devil's luck? 5 more minutes and I would have been out the door. Oh, please, it's no trouble at all. I'm always happy to meet a fan. Honestly, I don't mind running a little late, but my editor is a real stick in the mud. If I'm not out of here by 3 seconds after the hour, he'll start crying about my schedule. No need to get shy. You want me to sign your book, don't you? Let me see it. Now, this is well loved. How many times have you read this? Oh no, I'm not mad. On the contrary, it makes me happy knowing you enjoy it so much. Most of the time, people bring me new books to sign because they're hoping to show it off or sell it. Dog ears and ripped pages are a sign of love. It's the biggest compliment you can give an author, really. So, who am I making this out to? That's a nice name. How do you spell it? And done. You know, I must have signed 100 books today, and at least half of them were copies of The Hangman's MacGuffin. It really surprised me how popular it's been. I thought the premise might turn some people off, especially the chapter about the cannibal. Just goes to show you never know what readers have the stomach for. Really? That was your favorite chapter? You sweet talker, you. Better be careful. You keep complimenting me like that, you're gonna make me blush. Actually, okay, I told my editor I wouldn't tell anyone this, but I think you'll get a real kick out of it. Just promise it stays between us, okay? I've been toying with the idea of writing a book from a ghoul's perspective. Not sure about the plot yet, but I think it would be a fun challenge. Fascinating, too. What would the world look like to someone who can only eat human flesh? Would they want to try and fit in, or would the paranoia drive them underground? How long could they live in hiding before the mask slipped? And what would they do if it did? Hey, are you okay? You look a little queasy. Oh, right. Even if you're fine reading about a cannibal, this probably sounds pretty distasteful. Yeah, it's why my editor told me not to talk about it. I don't see it like that, though. It's a writer's job to talk about distasteful things. Some of the most impactful books are the ones that turn your stomach. Besides, ghouls are just as much as part of the world as humans are, whether we like it or not. Maybe they'd like having a protagonist to read about for once. There he goes. My editor's going to drag me out soon, right when I was having fun too. Sorry to cut this short. Want to take a picture with me to make up for it? Yeah, really. Technically, I'm not supposed to, but what's the worst that could happen? People start asking for them more? That's only a problem if you're obsessed with schedules. Didn't bring your phone? Have a nice day. How long are you going to keep following me? Most schools would have gone for me already. I went through some of the best spots in the city to attack someone, but you wouldn't even get close. It was fun for a while, but it's boring now. There's no point in hiding. I knew you were following me as soon as I left my house. Word of advice? Your eyes reflect a lot more light when they're all red and ghouly. Makes them a lot more obvious when they're looking through your window. There. Isn't it better when we can talk face to face like this? Well, face to mask. Now, no need to be so nervous. Tell me, what can I do for you tonight? I doubt you were following me around for the exercise. Were you hoping for a picture? Or are you hoping to take home something else? My head, maybe? Ah, so you're not a fan of the brain. My liver, then. That's the best thing to eat if you don't have time for the whole body. It has the most nutrients, and it's nice and soft. You could swallow it whole if you really tried. You're not going to eat me? Hmm, now that's interesting. You would have attacked me already if you were trying to rob me, so what is it you're after? Unless, don't tell me you're stalking me. Don't try to play coy. You're not the first, and I doubt you'll be the last. I've had my fair share of readers so starved for connection that they convinced themselves every page I wrote was a letter with their name on it. You're just the first ghoul who's felt that way, or the first one to feel it strongly enough to stalk me. Oh, by all means, tell me how it's different. I'd love to pick your brain for a while. After all, nobody's gonna find us here. It's why I walk so far from home, after all. It's different because you love me? You'll have to be more specific than that. I mean, that just saying I love you doesn't mean anything. There are so many ways to love someone, as there are ants in an ant hill. You can love someone on your knees, put them on an altar, and worship them like a god. You can let your own cowardice consume you, run away, and convince yourself that that's love. You can ignore their flaws and nestle up to them until you're practically a parasite, feeding off their love like a leech feeds off blood. That's the most familiar form of love for a ghoul, isn't it? Feeding. It's all you know how to do. You eat and you take and you chew on bones like the starving dogs you are. It only makes sense to love the same way. There's no shame in it. Humans do it too. Didn't the Son of God tell his followers to partake of bread and wine, that they were his body and blood given freely to them? I've always wondered if the 12 disciples were ghouls. It's hard to imagine something more ghoulish than partaking of your Lord's flesh and blood. And the Son of God was supposedly all loving, willing to sit with even the lowest sinners. Why wouldn't he offer himself as food for the apostles he treasured so much, if it was the only food they could eat? I wonder, is that how you want to be loved? Do you want someone who will offer themselves to you completely, flesh and all? You do? And what exactly have you done to deserve it? I can see what you are plain as day. You're a parasite, a sickly babe abandoned in the woods, wailing for milk. A glutton that can do nothing but take from others, just like all ghouls. There's a reason you were drawn to my stories, why you put me on a pedestal and idolized me from afar. It's because you know no one will ever give themselves to you once they know you. Not when you're like this. Deluding yourself was so much safer, wasn't it? Stop. Why would I do that? Understanding others is part of being a writer. My other stalkers had that part right, at least. Stories are conversations with a world that wouldn't listen otherwise. It's making yourself heard and understanding the people you want to hear you. Besides, I thought you'd be happy. I understood you. You were so eager to speak to me at the bookstore today. So eager you couldn't wait until my next signing to see me again. I wonder, did you bring your phone for a picture this time? Oh, I knew. I knew it was you behind that mask. And I knew you were a ghoul when we met today, too. I have a sharp eye for those things. I understood you from the moment I saw you. You poor, worthless thing. A ghoul can't live without staining their hands red, and you're scared to stain the ones you love. So you spend your life in their shadows, afraid to leave so much as a fingerprint. You're pathetic and sad, and so very, very empty. What right do you have to ask for love? For anything? Exactly. No right at all. Shh, it's okay. The world might hate you for it, but I don't. It's that very emptiness I adore. You watched me from afar because you thought I'd never give you what you wanted. But I will. I can give you all the love you crave and more. So much that your sad, worthless self unravels like a ball of yarn. And once you've come undone, I can knit you back into something worthy of being loved. Yes, really. But in exchange, you have to love me too. You have to love me how you're meant to love. Can you do that? Wonderful. We'll start with communion. I don't have a cup, but you don't mind me drinking from the source, do you? Hmm? What's that? I can't quite hear you. Why? Why what? I'm doing what you wanted, and you're doing what you agreed. Empty ones like you can only love one way, by giving everything they have. This is my blood, shed for you, to make sure you're strong enough for what comes next. And this is my body, broken for you, although you're certainly more broken than me right now. Don't be scared. The only way to stop being empty is to be filled. And I promise I'll provide you with bread aplenty. Now open up. I love you. If bread isn't to your taste, think of it as bone, something you'll always be able to gnaw on when you're starved for affection. With this, you'll never be alone again. Isn't that nice? I think we've dawdled enough. Let's get you home so you can rest. I have a lot of ways to love you, and you'll need your strength for them. I really do like you. I can't wait to see what you become.